Okay, ladies and gentlemen,
What do you guys want to talk about?
because I want to talk about the true value of an IT project. I've been thinking about it lately. I've been thinking a lot about it. Like the real true value inside the IT projects. Not the hype, not the buzzwords, not the shiny wrappers we often get distracted by. I want to talk about the core, the actual human value that tech brings into our lives. I've spent over a decade working in different business domains, from edtech to no-code and sustainable energy and even gaming media. And the more I've seen, the more I've started noticing something important. Not all IT projects are created equal. Some feed the ego, others feed people. Section 1. Maslow's pyramid as a lens. Let's frame this around the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Classic psychological model. It starts with our own basic needs, such as food, water, shelter, warmth, probably rest, and then slowly climbs up to safety, belonging, self-esteem, and finally self-actualization. So when you think about the IT projects through this lens, it becomes very clear. At least it becomes clear to me that projects that support like the very foundation of this pyramid are really vital and possess real value. We're talking food delivery, infrastructure, healthcare platforms, energy grid monitoring, clean water systems, even logistics and funeral services. These aren't like your typical sexy projects in a fast-paced modern way. They don't get flashy PR, but they literally keep society running. And probably to some extent they keep it from collapsing. The higher up the pyramid you go, the more kinda optional these needs become. Important for sure, yeah, but not foundational. And yet, many projects of today start at the very top, like focusing more on lifestyle, luxury, entertainment, instead of addressing the core, like unmet human needs. Section 2. The essential domains. So let's look at the 10 critical domains where IT plays like a crucial role in supplying basic human needs, or like basic human survival. First we got food and agriculture, which includes precision farming systems, supply chain logistics, food safety tracking, and a bunch of other stuff. Then we got healthcare, we got hospital management, we got diagnostics, we got patient record systems. Then we got energy, the energy without which I wouldn't be able to record this right now, and you wouldn't be able to watch it. We got smart grids, we got outage management systems, we got renewable resources balancing, we got predictive maintenance, and many others. The next thing is water and sanitation, which includes water quality monitoring systems, leak detection, filtration systems management, and so on. The next we got waste management, which means smart recycling, hazardous waste tracking, routes optimizations, and sanitation. Then we got emergency services, like 911 systems, wildfire detections, disaster response coordination. We also have to include transportation here, which in its own terms includes public transit optimization, logistics routing, vehicle safety systems, infrastructure monitoring. The next we got security and safety, like surveillance for public safety, emergency alerting systems, or even, if you look at it more from the global perspective or the high level, cybersecurity for national infrastructure. Let's not forget about funerals and end-of-life services. Because oopsie doopsie, everybody's gonna die one day, like everybody else did before us, and like everybody else is gonna do after us. Well, that's a discovery, isn't it? So that's a forever niche. And it includes death registration systems, it includes cemetery logistics, grief support platforms. All of these things go there. And also, last but not least, definitely not last, we got shelter and construction, which means smart housing, which means disaster resilient building design, which means housing access platforms. These are not just projects, they're kind of lifelines. They don't only support like individuals, but rather entire communities and infrastructure. Section 3. The contrast. Now, let's look at the other side, like Web3 projects, NFTs, meme coins, even video games. And don't get me wrong, I'm not here to bash them. I've seen some cool stuff come out of these spaces. Creativity, identity, entertainment, of course, like all valid parts of human life. Now the foundations, the top falls apart, and it does so really fast. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. You cannot play blockchain games if your region simply has no power. You do not care about an NFT if your relative needs a heart surgery and the hospital software just crashed. It's not that, it's not that these projects are bad. It's simply because they're optional, while the essentials are not. And many of these high-tier projects ironically depend on the low-tier projects. Low-tier infrastructure, to even function. They're built on top of power grids, on top of internet access, financial systems, legal protections, the list goes on and on. Without the basics, there is no platform to innovate on.
Section 4, the PR trap.
So one of the biggest traps I see in the IT industry today is obsession with appearances. We celebrate the pitch decks, we celebrate the viral tweets or access or however the hell you want to call this nowadays. We celebrate the cool UIs, but too often we overlook the projects doing the real heavy lifting behind the scenes. Simply because they're not shiny and glamorous. Value is not always visible, but you feel it when it's gone. Ask anybody. For example, ask me, a guy who lived through, dozens of blackouts throughout the past 3 years. Or ask a person who lived through a hospital software crash or food supply shortage. The perspective starts to shift a little bit, right? And the most critical systems are often not visible to the naked eye, simply because they're working. And the better they function, the more we kinda ignore them, just like I said, up until they are gone. So we kinda take them for granted, when in reality we shouldn't. And it's dangerous when PR becomes the primary driver for the external perceived value. It misleads funding, it misleads attention, and talent away from the spaces that need it the most.
Closing thoughts.
So what is the takeaway here? It's simple, we need to look deeper. Don't just ask, is this project cool? Ask, does this project solve something real? Does it bring value at the fundamental level? And when you find these projects, God, just cherish them, support them, work on them. This is just my perspective. I've been fortunate enough to see multiple sides of this industry, and I've made it my personal mission to focus on the projects that contribute real value to the society, to individual people's lives. Not just hype, but impact, the real thing. Because in the end, if you want to create real value, you've got to start from the roots. That's where the magic begins. And that's where resilience is built. That is where the real change happens. Thanks for watching. And if it sparked something in you, as usual, drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what personally you think makes the IT industry valuable. Let's start more of these conversations. Because at the end of the day, we're not machines, we're human beings, god damn it. See you in the next sprint. Alex, over and out.